Most people think that blue and yellow can in their garage is a lubricant. If you're one of them, you're actually part of a 60-year misunderstanding that's costing you money and probably ruining your door hinges. I know, it sounds backwards. You hear a squeak, you grab the WD-40, and you spray. But here's the reality. WD-40 isn't a lubricant at all. In fact, if you keep using it like one, you're just creating a sticky, dust-attracting magnet that will eventually seize up your hardware for good. I've spent over 15 years in the world of home maintenance and mechanical repair, and I've seen thousands of dollars literally flushed down the drain because people don't understand the chemistry inside that can. The WD stands for water displacement. It was designed to prevent rockets from rusting, not to keep your treadmill running. But once you stop using it for the wrong things, a whole new world of "how did I not know this?" opens up. We're talking about saving hundreds of dollars on specialized cleaners, professional detailing, and even home repairs that you thought required a contractor. Think about those ugly scuff marks on your kitchen floor. You know the ones. The black streaks from sneakers or furniture that seem to be permanently bonded to the linoleum. You could go out and buy a heavy-duty chemical floor stripper, or you could spend 20 minutes on your hands and knees scrubbing until your back gives out. But there's a better way. A quick hit of WD-40 breaks the bond between the rubber and the floor instantly. It's like the scuff mark was never even there. Just wipe it away with a paper towel and a bit of soapy water afterward so you don't turn your kitchen into a skating rink. Now, you might be asking, "Porter, I'm not worried about my floors. I'm worried about my bills." I hear you. Let's talk about your car. Have you ever walked out to your driveway and noticed those tiny, stubborn orange dots on the paint? That's road tar and tree sap. If you go to a professional detailer, they're going to charge you a specialty cleaning fee that starts at $50 and goes up from there. Most people try to scrape it off with a fingernail or a plastic spatula, which is the fastest way to ruin your clear coat and end up at a body shop for a $1,000 paint job. Instead, spray a little bit of the blue and yellow magic on a soft cloth. The solvents in the formula are specifically engineered to dissolve organic compounds like sap and petroleum-based products like tar. It melts away without you having to scrub, saving your paint and your wallet in about 30 seconds. But it gets even more interesting when we move back inside the house. If you've ever had a tea or coffee stain on a light-colored countertop, you know that sink envy feeling when you visit a neighbor with a spotless kitchen. You've probably tried bleach, which smells terrible and can actually dull the finish of your surfaces over time. Here's the secret that big cleaning companies don't want you to know. WD-40 is a master at lifting tannins. That's the stuff in tea and coffee that creates the stain. A light mist, a quick wipe, and that stubborn brown ring is history. I know this sounds like one of those too good to be true late-night infomercials, but the chemistry doesn't lie. We're just getting started on the ways this one can is going to replace half the chemicals under your sink. If you're starting to see how much money is sitting right there in your tool shed, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps me know that you value these insider shortcuts so I can keep digging them up for you. Believe it or not, the most impressive money-saving trick isn't even in the kitchen or the driveway. It's actually in your winter wardrobe and your toolkit, and it's going to save you a fortune on replacements. Let's shift gears for a second. Think about your favorite pair of winter boots, the ones that cost you $100 or more. You walk through one salty puddle on a sidewalk, and suddenly they've got those ugly, white crusty lines that look like they've been through a war zone. Most people think that's just character or that the leather is ruined. So, they go out and buy a new pair every 2 seasons. But that salt is actually eating the fibers of the material. If you give those boots a light misting of WD-40 before you head out into the snow, you're creating a molecular barrier. Remember what I said about water displacement? It's literally in the name. It forces the moisture and the salt to bead up and roll off instead of soaking into the leather or suede. You just saved yourself a $100 trip to the shoe store with about 5 cents worth of spray. Now, you might be asking, Porter, if it's so good at protecting things, why did you say it's not a lubricant earlier? Here's the secret. WD-40 is a solvent and a rust preventative, not a long-term grease. It's the special forces you send in to break things loose, not the garrison that stays to keep them moving. Take your garden shears or those rusty pliers in the bottom of your toolbox. You probably think they're junk. You're ready to toss them and head to the hardware store to spend 40 bucks on a new set. Stop right there. That rust is just a surface-level chemical reaction. If you soak those tools in WD-40 for 10 minutes, the formula gets underneath the corrosion and lifts it away from the metal. Take a little steel wool to it, and those ruined tools look like they just came off the shelf. But it gets even better when we talk about your sticker shock. We've all been there. You buy a new glass jar, a picture frame, or a plastic container, and the manufacturer uses that industrial-strength adhesive for the price tag. You try to peel it off, and it leaves that gummy, gray residue that attracts every piece of lint in a 5-mile radius. You could go buy a specialized goo remover for $8 a bottle, but why would you? That specialized cleaner is mostly just petroleum distillates, exactly what's already in your garage. A quick squirt, let it sit for 60 seconds, and that adhesive slides off like butter. I'm telling you, the big cleaning industry is basically just repackaging the same 4 or 5 chemicals and charging you a premium for the fancy label. But here's where we get into the homeowner's nightmare territory. Have you ever looked at your toilet and noticed those stubborn lime and scale rings? You scrub until your arm is sore. You use those blue tablets that turn your tank into a chemical wasteland, and the rings still come back. Those rings are mineral deposits. And because WD-40 is designed to displace water and prevent those minerals from bonding to surfaces, it's a miracle worker in the bathroom. Spray it on the ring, let it sit, and give it one light brush. It's gone. And because it leaves a microscopic film behind, the minerals can't stick as easily next time. I know, it sounds crazy to spray a garage tool in your bathroom, but when you see the results, you'll never go back to those overpriced scrubbing bubbles again. Now, if you're already thinking of 3 things in your house you're going to spray as soon as this video is over, make sure you've subscribed. I'm constantly testing these hacks to see what actually works and what's just internet noise, so you don't have to waste your time. But we haven't even touched on the outdoor savings yet. If you have a backyard or a deck, the next use I'm going to show you is going to save your summer and your sanity. If you've ever had a backyard barbecue ruined by a yellow jacket nest or a group of wasps deciding your eaves are their new luxury condos, you know the panic. You run to the hardware store, drop 20 bucks on a can of pro-grade pesticide that smells like a chemical plant, and pray you don't get stung in the process. But here's the thing. Wasps and bees absolutely hate the scent and the oily film of WD-40. I'm not saying you should go out and start a fight with a swarm, but if you spray a light coating under your deck railings, around your shutters, or along the roof line in early spring, those pests won't even think about building there. You're essentially putting up a no vacancy sign that lasts for months. You just saved yourself the cost of a pest control visit, which, let's be real, starts at about $200 these days. Now, you might be asking, Porter, is there anything this stuff can't do? Actually, yes. And knowing the difference is what separates the pros from the amateurs. Remember what I said about it not being a lubricant? Never, ever put WD-40 on a bike chain or a high-speed bearing. It'll feel great for 5 minutes, but it'll wash out any actual grease that's supposed to be there, and your chain will snap or seize within a week. That's a $300 mistake you don't want to make. But back to the wins. Let's talk about your curb appeal. If you have a mailbox or house numbers made of metal, they've probably started to look chalky or faded from the sun. That's oxidation. Most people think they need to sand them down and repaint. Try this instead. Spray a little WD-40 on a rag and buff the metal. It penetrates the oxidized layer and brings back the original pigment and shine instantly. It's like a fountain of youth for your hardware. 10 seconds of work just saved you a Saturday afternoon of DIY painting. But it gets even better if you're a DIYer or a gardener. Have you ever spent an hour digging in the garden, only to spend another 30 minutes trying to scrape the dried, packed clay off your shovel? It's a backbreaker. If you spray your garden tools, shovels, trowels, even the underside of your lawnmower deck, before you start, the dirt and grass literally cannot stick to the metal. It slides right off. You're not just saving money on replacement tools that won't rust. You're saving the one thing you can't buy more of, your time. And finally, for the indoor win that saves your sanity, the stuck zipper. We've all had that expensive winter coat or that high-end luggage where the zipper just refuses to budge. You pull, you tug, and eventually, the tab snaps off. Now you're looking at a $100 replacement or a trip to a tailor. Take a Q-tip, spray a tiny bit of WD-40 on it, and run it along the teeth of the zipper. It dissolves the grit and corrosion that's causing the jam. One gentle pull, and it's like brand new. I've seen people throw away $500 leather jackets over a stuck zipper. Don't be that person. The reality is, we live in a disposable culture where companies want you to throw things away and buy new ones. They want you to have a different specialized chemical for every single square inch of your house. But once you understand the science of what's in that blue and yellow can, you realize you already have the secret weapon to keep your world running smoothly for pennies on the dollar. I've just given you 12 ways to turn a $5 can into hundreds of dollars in savings. But I want to hear from you. What's the weirdest thing you've ever fixed with WD-40? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and some of your ideas might even end up in the next video. And if you want to see how to save another grand this year on home repairs most people overpay for, you're going to want to watch the video on the screen right now. I'll see you over there.